Okay, good evening folks, and welcome to what we hope will be another insightful presentation to help you understand the power of this new car crowdfunding concept. So on behalf of myself, John Bone, and my co-host, Morel Yagis, we'd like to say thanks for jumping on to zoomshow.live tonight. And before we get started on the actual presentation, I'd like to give you a quick overview of what crowdfunding is and where it's headed. So why is crowdfunding so popular? Well, it's because it enables ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Crowdfunding isn't a new thing. In fact, it goes back a very, very long way. And many of you have probably already heard of it or in fact taken part in it. It's a way of pooling funds together in support of a cause, a creative project, or even a product. Crowdfunding possesses a huge potential for bringing people together in ways that have never been done before. Well, they've kind of been done before. This isn't something new. In fact, it might seem new, but one of the first people to ever realize the actual power of crowdfunding was a guy named Joseph Pulitzer back in the 1800s when he crowdfunded a little thing called the Statue of Liberty. Now, okay, it wasn't so much the statue itself. That was a gift from the French, but they hadn't actually provided anything to stand the statue upon. So Joseph took it upon himself to use a medium he owned, a little newspaper called the New York World, and he urged his readership to give as little or as much as possible to help build the base of the statue. And with the help of 120,000 Americans, he was actually able to raise $102,000 to build the base, and that is the very same base that it stands on to this very day. So that's a true show of people power, right? Well, today we have even more power, especially with the advent of social media. So this is an incredibly fast-growing space with more and more ideas being funded in this way each and every day. And let's face it, we've all heard about many of these new disruptive technologies, right? Like Just Park, where you can actually rent people's parking spaces in inner cities. Or what about GoFundMe or Just Giving, where people can donate money to causes they feel passionate about? Then there are ones we've all heard about, like Airbnb, who don't own a single bed and yet are valued at over $31 billion, or Uber, who don't own a single vehicle, but are valued at over $50 billion. And with cryptocurrencies and shopping portals like Amazon disrupting the banking and shopping arenas, these are the types of industries that we as individuals should seriously be looking at getting involved with. So this is why I'm truly excited about being a part of Privileged Car Club, because it is a unique concept that has the potential of helping thousands of people escape the chains of car finance, as well as all the attributed costs of car ownership. And with this crowdfunding concept, we're now making this idea a reality with the first 3 cars, scrap that, first 4 cars already being funded, and 3 of those cars are about to be presented at the company's official launch event happening on the 1st of April in Birmingham, right here in the UK. So without further ado, I want to present this quick video and we'll be right back to get this presentation underway.
What's left? The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna wait. What's left? The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. So, right, first and foremost, I just want to say congratulations for being on tonight. You know, we've got 42 people on here. We do these presentations really for you guys so that you can invite people to come and see what this is all about. So with that being said, Jerold, I'm going to hand it over to you now, and I'm going to mute myself out, and away you go.
Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, all sounds good.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. You may or may not be aware, but in 2017, it was reported that 20% of our income is spent on funding and maintaining our cars. This affects a lot of people, over 200 million drivers in the United States and over 37 million drivers here in the UK. 20% of your income, that is a staggering amount of money. With Privileged Car Club, you can save yourself thousands of pounds every year, freeing up more money for you and your family. Let me ask you a question. Would you like to drive any new car of your choice for £50, $75 or €60 a month? I'm pretty sure I know what the answer would be. Almost everybody that you know drives a car and is going to say yes when you ask them that question. Before we go on to the next slide, I just want to share with you a quote from Richard Branson that I really think applies to what we have here with Privileged Car Club. He says, if you are not making a difference in other people's lives, you should not be in business. Just keep that in the back of your mind as you listen to our presentation tonight. Privileged Car Club is a revolutionary new concept that is going to totally disrupt the car industry. And we have proof that this works, and we will share this with you a little bit later. There's just one thing that I'd like to ask you tonight, just to be a little bit open-minded and think outside the box a little. We're going to show you a new way to finance a brand new car. You can forget the old way that typically includes car finance with high interest. You can say goodbye to expensive loans, high insurance and costly repair bills. I'm sure everybody on this call has heard of Uber, Airbnb, Facebook and Amazon. These are all disruptive models that have challenged the traditional way of doing things, bringing more choice and a better price to the customer. But we weren't invited to the launch party for Amazon. But with Privileged Car Club, you are invited. You are here tonight. So congratulate yourself for being on this webinar and think, as we go through the presentation, how many lives you can change when you spread the word about this revolutionary car club. So let's have a look on the next slide at how this actually works. There are 3 simple steps. So the first one is you join our crowdfunding club and you join via the person who shared this with you with their referral link. You then find a crowd of just 3 people. So 3 people who want a brand new car, 3 people who can think outside the box a little, and 3 people who are willing to go and share this with another 3 people. This is simple duplication. Then you use the system that we have in place, which includes webinars like we're doing tonight. And we also have live meetings all over the UK, Ireland, and also in the United States. And you work towards getting yourself qualified. So how do we get qualified? Let's have a look at the next slide, and we can see you get qualified in 3 steps. So that's you at the front. You must be a member of this car club for at least 3 months before you can take your car. And there you have your 3 direct referrals. So you must bring in 3 people personally yourself. Of course, you can bring in more. It depends how quickly you want to get your car, but you must bring in at least 3. And we have on the screen there 2 packages, a £20,000 package or €24,000 or dollars, or a £30,000 package or €36,000 and dollars. So let's have a look at the first one. If you want to go for the £20,000 package, then you need to have what we call a funding pool, a team of 81 members. So we're not asking you to bring 81 people in. We're asking you to bring in 3 people who are then prepared to do the same, to then go and speak to 3 people. And the requirements are that you have a minimum of 20 members in each leg. Now this makes it a very fair system, because once you've got your 81 and you're qualified, each of those legs who have helped you to get your car, they will be at least 25% towards getting their car. So remember, this is a crowdfunding concept where members are helping members. So once you have 81 in your funding pool, you have the funds available. You have a cash pot of £20,000. And that will take care of the price of the car and also all associated costs like tax and insurance. If you would like to drive a more expensive car, then you do exactly the same thing, but you have a funding pool of 125 members. And you need to have a minimum of 30 in each leg, and the rest, the remaining, can come from any of those legs. You must have the minimums that you can see on the slide there. You must also be a minimum of 21 years of age. But for example, John will tell you this later, his son is 20 and he's part of the club, but he can't take his car until he's 21 years of age. So you need to have 3 direct referrals in each leg, and you need to have 20 or 30 minimum per leg. Once you have your funding pool, as I said, the cash is there. We're not using finance, no credit, no loans. This is simple crowdfunding concept. The cash is there. And then that's job done. You are now qualified. So now comes the really exciting part. You'll be contacted by the club and you'll get to choose, and you would tell them what car, what spec, what colour, what brand new car that you want of your choice. They will then go ahead, they do the the conversation, they do the negotiations, and they get the car ordered for you. And they also take care of the insurance as well. So you don't have to worry about any of that side of it. You then drive this brand new car for 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, the car is sold back to the club. And this is how they make their profits and become an asset-rich company. You then take on your next car because your funding pool of 81 or 125 will still be there. In fact, it will have grown hugely in size because all those people are also building their own funding pools. So then after 2 years, you take your next new car. Okay, let's move on to the next slide and have a look at the costs. Now, you will have seen these in the video, but just as a recap, the annual cost for the UK is £149, and for Southern Ireland and the United States, it's 180 euros and dollars. So when you sign up and you join the club in the UK, you will pay £199 on sign up. So that includes your annual fee and your first month of £50. And then you continue to pay £50 thereafter every month. So it's only £749 per year to drive a brand new car, which comes into the package of £20,000 or £30,000. It's such a small amount of money to pay to drive a brand new car. In Ireland, you're going to pay €240 on sign up and then €60 every month. So a total of €900 per year. In the US, $255 on sign up and $75 per month, giving you a total of $1,080 per year. Okay, let's go on to the next slide and let's look at what that monthly payment actually includes. So it includes your fully comprehensive insurance, your car tax, full new car warranties, also breakdown cover, and this is going to have such a big impact. There is no credit check necessary because we are not using any finance. So you don't need to go through a credit check. Just think about all of those people who struggle to get finance, who can't even go to their local dealership to get a car because they know that they will fail the credit check. Or maybe they will let them have the finance, but they will sting them with really, really high insurance. Privileged Car Club is open to everybody. So just think about that, how many people this will have an effect on. There's also no mileage penalty with Privileged Car Club. So just to give you an example, in the UK, the average is 15,000 miles. Now, some people, of course, will drive less, and some people will drive, maybe quite a lot more, maybe 30,000. There's no financial penalty if you go over the average of 15,000 miles. All you have to do is just make sure that you're giving accurate information when you give over your insurance details. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So let's have a look at some price comparisons, just to give you an idea of what we are typically paying. And this is an example in the UK. So for this new Insignia, which would come into the £20,000 package, to lease this, we are paying in the UK over £400 per month. That is a huge financial commitment for a lot of families. You go to the car dealership, you're all excited, you've got the finance, you drive away in your brand new car, and then the next month, you're not quite so happy then, because you've got to be paying this every single month. And of course, you can't miss a month, because there'll be penalties in taking the car back. With Privileged Car Club, you can drive this car for just £50 a month. Just think about what you could do with those savings. If you prefer to drive this rather nice Mercedes C-Class, which comes into the £30,000 package, you've got to have a deposit of over £5,000. That is pretty hefty. And then you're still paying £400 a month for 36 months. And of course, at the end, that car will have depreciated greatly in value. With Privileged Car Club, you would build a funding pool of 125 members, and you would drive this car for just £50 a month. So a huge, huge saving with this car club. Okay, so I hope that you have now got an idea of the benefits of Privileged Car Club and what we have to offer and how the system works. So of course you need to know how to sign up. So you sign up with a referral link that has been given to you by the person who shared this with you, and you pay your annual and your monthly fee on sign up. And then you pay your monthly fee every month thereafter. And as I mentioned, use the methods and the systems that I've explained to you, and you work towards getting qualified. Now, there's no time limit. Some people will qualify in a few months. I think it's fair to say the average is probably going to be 6 to 9 months. But even if you take 12 months, you're only paying in the UK, just as an example, £749 for the whole year. The systems that we have here, the concepts that I've explained to you, it's very straightforward. It's accessible for everyone over the age of 20. This is a crowdfunding club where members help members. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. And I just want to show you something extra that this club is offering. Now, this is optional, and this is called the re-entry, which I will explain to you in a moment. So there's 3 reasons why you would want to re-enter and build another funding pool. You can upgrade your car after 2 years. So maybe your original funding pool was the £30,000 package. And after 2 years, perhaps you've got your eye on a car of £50,000. If you re-enter under your team and build another funding pool of 81, that is giving you a budget of another £20,000. So you add that 20,000 to your original 30,000, and you can upgrade your car for a £50,000 package. Or you could actually take a second car of £20,000 for another family member. And the thing that I'm very excited about here is you can actually take an advertising allowance of £1,000 per month, or $1,200 or €1,200. Just think what you can actually do with that extra money. So it works in exactly the same way. You need 3 direct people. You build a team of 81 with a minimum of 20 members in each pool. And what I love about this is the system will actually place you in your weakest leg. Naturally, you will have a weakest leg. And when you re-enter, you have to pay the annual fee. So in the UK, £149. You don't pay the monthly fee. You don't pay an extra monthly fee. You just pay the annual fee. But you're placed in your weakest leg, which means you're helping those people who actually helped you to get your car in the first place. So you're actually being paid here to drive a brand new car. If you take the advertising allowance of say £1,000, the annual cost for the UK is only £749. So you've covered that in the first month. You're actually getting paid to drive a brand new car. Now I know that John is super excited when I explained this to him back in October last year. So John, I'm going to ask you to jump in and just give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, hi. Right. Hi, guys. So basically, you know, when I was first shown this concept back in October, you know, I've been in the online work from home arena for around 12 or 13 years. I've never come across anything like this in all those years. You know, we're all in the usual things, affiliate marketing, network marketing, and that's all about recruiting people. And let's face it, you're earning commissions when you're recruiting people, right? Well, that's not happening here. That's why this isn't classed as an MLM. Now, it did take me a little bit of time to wrap my head around the concept, around crowdfunding. But once I got it, I realized what a phenomenal concept this was and how many people I could actually go out into the real world and talk to about it. Because ordinarily, let's face it, if we're working online, we're normally working within the same groups of people over and over again. But with this concept, we could literally take this to anybody out there in the real world. And that excites me. Now, when I was taught about the re-entry, because again, it did take me a little bit of time to get my head around it. But when I realized that, you know, we will be placed in our weakest leg, that is huge, because obviously we all have different skills, different strengths. Some people are going to come in and they're going to bring in, you know, 10, 20, 30 people without even breaking a sweat. Other people are going to struggle. And it's those people that we're going to re-enter into that pool to help them, okay? Because that is the right thing to do. That's the ethical thing to do, right? We help those who are the weaker at building their teams. So, you know, I tell everyone I talk to, you've got to try and commit to at least 3 people. You have to commit to finding 3 people yourself. Now, whether that takes you a week, whether that takes you 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you know, the funding pool will be growing because your uplines will be carrying on building. We're doing these webinars. We encourage everyone to invite people to these webinars. We do them so regularly now that pretty much every night you've got some webinar that you can plug people into to show. But this re-entry, guys, you know, think about the power of this. Okay, so you build, you re-enter, you pay your yearly membership, you can build another group of 81 members, and you have those 3 options. Now, the way I'm looking at it is that, you know, I'm hoping to qualify within 6 months, and I will get my car, and then I've got 2 years until I get another car. So if I take another 6 months to build a re-entry, I won't necessarily want to take the upgrade at that point. I won't want to take the 20,000 package upgrade, because I'll still have to wait another 1.5 years, right, till I can actually add that on to the new vehicle. So I will potentially take an advertising allowance, or now that we've come to learn about this second car option, choose a car for my wife, okay? Because I'm a member. I also brought my son into PCC because he's 20 years old, turning 21 at the end of July. And our goal is to get him a brand new car for his 21st birthday using this crowdfunding concept. So phenomenal, just a phenomenal concept, phenomenal options, and this thing just keeps on giving, which we'll get into at the end of this presentation. So I'll hand it back to you, Jerold.
Okay, thank you very much, John. And one thing that I forgot to mention was there's no limit to how many times you can re-enter. Okay, so if you want to come in, build another funding pool of 81. You can then re-enter again and do exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide and just do a quick recap. Okay, so once you've qualified and you've built your funding pool of either 81 or 125 members, you get to do the fun part and you choose the model and the spec per your budget, and the car is ordered for you. The club is the owner and may pay the tax and insurance. You are the qualified registered keeper and also an ambassador of Privileged Car Club. If you then want to, this is optional, you can then re-enter and repeat the process. So you can re-enter to build a second car funding, upgrade your pot of cash for when you upgrade your car at the end of the 2 years, or you can re-enter to receive the advertising allowance as you are now an ambassador for the club. Now, I know it's a lot of information to take in if we've got any new guests on the webinar, so don't worry, very shortly, we've just got a few more slides and then we will do a Q&A session. Okay, so look, oh look, lovely photo there of me and John. This was us with Andy Wall, the CEO of Privileged Car Club. This was in Birmingham, so this was one of the first events in the UK. Now, John and I live in the southeast of England, so we had a 3.5-hour car journey, which was quite comical because I have a very old, small Nissan Micra. And as you can see, well, maybe you can't see so well in that photo, but John is very tall, he's 6'4". Well, we managed to squash him into the car and up we drove to Birmingham. And it was absolutely, it was fantastic to be there, to meet Andy, speak to him face to face, ask him questions directly, meet the other directors, meet his family who are 100% behind him and working with him on this, to meet the rest of the team also, you know, to hear the vision that Andy has for this club. And he actually had this idea over 20 years ago. So yeah, it was brilliant to be there. It was well worth the journey. And there's the rest of the team, well, part of our team. So we've got Sharon there, we've got Evelyn, we've got Karen, Derek, we've got Alan, who's actually the first person to qualify for their car. But by the time we got there, it was actually just standing room in this hotel room. So yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. John, do you want to come in and just share what you took from this meeting?
Yeah, again, I mean, like I said before, we joined in October, and this event happened at the end of January. So when we first heard about it, this founder meeting event, you know, Morel, like I said, only lives an hour up the road from me. So we met up and said, we decided we're going to go to this. We need to be there. We need to meet the corporate team. We need to meet Andy. We need to meet other team members. And it was a brilliant event, a really eye-opening event. And this is where everything changed for me. This is where I realised what we've got a hold of here. And from that point on is when I really got busy, and Morel, and we started to actually go out there and really start speaking to as many people as we possibly could. I personally think that wallpaper is amazing because I'm but just looking at the wallpaper in the background. Yeah, a great event, and it was lovely to meet everybody. And yeah, meeting Andy and his family and the corporate team, seeing the vision of where PCC is going to go was just inspiring. So really chuffed we took the day out. I mean, it was a 7-hour round trip for us to get up there and back, but well worth the effort. So I'll hand it back to you, Morel.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide. Okay, so we have had, up until a couple of days ago, we have had a social media ban. So again, if there's anybody new on this call, this has now been lifted. And this was really good, actually, because we weren't allowed to go out on social media because we wanted to share this with people privately. So we did this face-to-face, up and down the country, to make sure that everybody that we spoke to understood the concept of how this works. And we also wanted to wait until we actually had proof that this works. And that is why we are super excited. I am wishing the days away now. We are waiting for the official launch in the UK in just over a week in Birmingham. And John and I will be there with the rest of the team. And those 3 cars that you can see there, they are going to be on stage in this event. And they are going to be handed over to the first 3 members who have qualified, which is Alan with his Audi, Devon with his Mercedes, and Prem with his VW Passat. These are all in the £30,000 package bracket, and these are being delivered to the venue, and they will be on stage. And this is for £50 a month, or $75 a month, or €60 a month. I literally cannot wait for this event. It's going to go down in history. You only get one launch. If you are in the UK, or if you can get to the UK, I urge you to come. We have people flying in from Ireland, from Europe, and from the US. We have a number of people coming from the US, including their first qualified member. Now, the US started after us, but we already have 1 member qualified, and they will be coming to the launch. So it's going to be a phenomenal event. It's on the 1st of April, starts at 3 o'clock, it finishes about 8 or 9 o'clock. If you're on this call and you're a guest or a member, get back to the person who shared this with you and make sure they get you a guest ticket. Do not miss this event. So here are some photos of the event. So as you can see, it looks very, very nice. There is going to be buffet, there's a bar, there's even a dance floor. So we're going to see John do a few moves, although he says that he's not going to, but don't worry, we will catch that on live video. So John, do you want to just share your thoughts on the launch?
I've already told you I'm not taking my dancing shoes, but who knows what will happen. But yeah, really excited about the event. We've booked our tickets, we've booked our hotel for the Sunday night. So who knows, it could be a late night, and I'm not promising there could be a little bit of dancing, but we'll have to wait and see on the day. But yeah, this place, I mean, just going back to that evening shot, this does look like an incredible venue, doesn't it? I mean, really excited to get in here and to see the 3 vehicles live and in the flesh, ready to be presented. And, you know, Andy has stated that there are going to be a few more surprises on the day. So really excited to hear what else is going to be given out at the actual event on the day. So can't wait for it. So I'll hand it back to you, Morel.
Lovely, thank you. So there we have Andy, who is actually on the call as well. So that's absolutely fantastic. So just to recap, we are live in the UK, in Ireland, and in the United States. So if you have just joined the club and you want to speak with people, then speak with people from those countries. Very soon, we don't have a date yet, but very soon we'll be going to Mexico, Canada, and Europe. Okay, but for now it's UK, Southern Ireland, and United States. Okay, so let's move on to the last slide, and then I'll let John take over. There is no doubt in my mind that Privilege Car Club is going to totally disrupt the car industry as we know it. They will help families all over the world to save thousands of pounds, dollars, euros every single month, every single year. Families like myself will be able to drive a brand new, safe, economical car, and we will have a higher disposable income because of this, giving us more time and financial freedom. I, for one, feel very privileged that I was introduced to Privilege Car Club. So please make sure that you get back to the person who shared this webinar with you and join us today. So John, I'm going to hand it over to you now for the last slide.
Brilliant, thank you, Morel. Right, guys, so before I head on to the final slide, I just want to make you realise, you know, I don't know about you, but speaking for myself, and I also know speaking for Morel, you know, we've never really thought about owning a brand new car, okay, until we found this concept. And that's something that I want you to bear in mind. Have you ever owned a brand new car? And if not, then this is definitely something you need to get involved with, because this is, yes, it will take a little bit of effort on your part, but imagine that you qualify for that vehicle, whether it be a 81 member for 20,000 or 125 for 30,000, and you're pretty much guaranteed to be driving a brand new vehicle every 2 years for the rest of your life. Meaning that you are going to be staying on top of all vehicle technology, all the improvements in the future that are coming out. You know, there are electric cars coming out, the hybrids are getting better and better by the day. So just something to bear in mind. A lot of people that ordinarily would never even conceive owning a new car are going to have that option right here with PCC. But there's something else that when I was shown this, I literally fell off my chair again, because what Andy has up his sleeve is something called Privilege House Club. Now, I'll tell you now, this was something that he had in mind first, before PCC, before Privilege Car Club. But he realised that, you know, not a lot of people out there would even have a chance of wrapping their head around Privilege House Club. So that's where PCC was formed, the car club, because people will be able to work with that easily, or be able to wrap their heads around that easier. But Andy has stated that once we have 500 vehicles out there on the road, he will release more information about Privilege House Club. And I cannot wait, because I am actually in the process, as we speak, of moving house and wrapping myself up in a horrendously sized mortgage in the next days or weeks. And yeah, I can't wait to find out more details about this. So with that being said, guys, thank you all very much for attending. We are going to go into Q&A, and like Morel said, we're very fortunate tonight to have Mr. Andy Wall on the line himself. So Andy, would you be able to, I will unmute you, and we'd just like to say hello. Are you there, Andy?
I am, John. How are you?
Brilliant. Great to hear from you again. Thanks for jumping on.
I'm only on my mobile, so I don't know how good it will be. So.
It sounds fine my end, Andy. Andy,
yeah, sounds good.
Let's start off, Andy. I mean, we've got 59 people on tonight. I dare say we've got a few guests on. Could you give us a little bit of background about yourself, Andy?
Oh, that could take for a long time.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 minutes, Andy, if you don't mind.
Dear me. Well, I've been quite an entrepreneurial, I don't know what the word is now. I had a long day. Since I was like 23, really, so I've always sort of worked for myself or done something that way. And then I had a bakery business to begin with, so that was my background. Then I became involved in, I was a minister, a preacher, if you want to call it. That's why it's dangerous to let me answer these kind of questions, because I'll just start preaching, basically, because it's something that's in my heart. And I was preaching, and one of the things that came on, I used to teach on debt and how bad it was and things like that, and then I started to get involved with a few network marketing companies. Did very well with 3 network marketing companies. That's all I've ever been involved in. I'm not one of these people that move from one to another. Rose pretty well to the top of most of them, and done very well. And that's where I came up with the idea, or came across really within the structures of network marketing, and thinking, well, this could be done for stuff that are troubling people, that are giving people a hard time. So really it was a concept that was birthed there, but I didn't know how to do it, I'll be honest. You know, software, in fact the internet wasn't around too much then. Amazon wasn't there, Facebook wasn't there, all these companies that we now think we can't live without wasn't there. So I basically just kept talking about it occasionally, and over sort of working with another network marketing company. I worked corporately with them as business development manager, and I began to learn the software, the structures, the mathematics, the predictability, all probabilities. And I and I had a great mentor with the owner of that company. Absolute great. He's a billionaire, and I was, super blessed to have met him, because really I couldn't have done this without the knowledge. And so I decided that it was now or never, basically. And everything has a perfect timing. And I think with the crowdfunding concept coming up and people getting used to that, it fitted the model perfectly. It was the missing part, really. And so I decided to, or we as a family decided to put everything else down and just go for it for once in our lives. Instead of making money for other people, so let's do it and let's help people. And if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. That's my principle. Whatever you sow, you reap. And so that was it. That's about it. Otherwise, I'll just go on and on.
No, that was great, Andy. Thanks for that. I mean, I think obviously a lot of the guests on tonight, they want to know where you're coming from. So thanks for telling us a little bit of the history. So obviously,
the concept, John, just to clarify, the concept really is there to help people get rid of the second biggest burden.
Yeah.
And of course, the house club is the first biggest burden, but obviously that's for the future, because it's, people are already saying about the car club, it's too good to be true.
Absolutely.
So, what would they say if I said, well, what about if we bought houses?
Well, I can't wait to hear about it, Andy. I really can't, because like I said, I'm about to move house myself, and I'm very excited about the Privileged House Club. So guys, if any of you have got any questions, I see that Rose has got her hand up. Rose, if I unmute you, would you like to ask your question? Let us know where you're calling in from.
Oh, hi. Sorry, when I did the unmute, and I'm calling from South London, I was kind of just saying, hey, I didn't know that meant I wanted to ask the question.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay.
But Andy, I just wanted to say that the concept is amazing. And I'm really excited about, helping to grow your business as well. One thing I did want to find out, are the cars subject to change? Because I know you said that we can select any cars that we want. How do we go about selecting the cars, do you know what I mean, between 20 to 30 grand?
Well, it's a monetary value. So therefore, any car that falls within that monetary a qualification level. So if it was 20k package, obviously we'll need your insurance details. We don't necessarily do the insurance because we use regulated and authorised companies to do that. So we've got to be that's something that we've been we've got to be very careful that we make that very clear, because we're not an insurance agent.
Yes.
And so I'm saying that for the benefit of everybody listening, because it's something that came up in a conversation we had with the FCA, and so we just want to make sure that we do everything right and correct and compliant, and so we just got to be careful how we say that insurance part in future. So we use regulated and authoritative companies, and we get a quote. Whatever that quote is, we take it off the qualifying amount for 2 years, because you have the privilege of driving the car. You don't own the car. I want to make that very clear. And otherwise it would be classed as cash gifting, and we don't want to go down that route either. And so basically it's just a monetary level. At the moment, we're finding that we can get good discounts because we're paying cash for them cars.
Right.
So we, the club doesn't own that. The club owns the car. Well, I don't personally. It's the club that owns the car. All the members own each part of the car, and That's what it is. It's just crowdfunding cars that are then. I mean, the goal is to resell the cars at the best price. But really, the cars end up costing us very little.
I think a lot of people like to know, where is it that PCC make their money, Andy? How do the company make their money?
Okay, there's two ways that we make money. Although the first way is really capital to expand the company into other countries, legal fees, management fees, accountancy fees. There's all these things, software fees. So the 199 or the 149, whatever the annual renewal is, depending on what, 180 in America, 180 euros in Ireland, that is for capital for running the company, etc. The real profit within the company is actually back end. It's the back end. It's not front ended like a lot of companies. It's back ended. In other words, okay, so we've raised the money to buy a car for £20,000. Yeah, let's just give that example. That we've bought let's say we've bought a £24,000 car, like we've just done, 37,000 pound cars, but we bought them for less because we're paying cash. Brand new plates, by the way, brand new cars, delivery mileage only, 18 plates, so they're all brand spanking new cars. But we haven't paid the on-the-road price because we've done cash. So let's say we bought it to give an average of £27,000, them £30,000 car packages. In 2 years' time, as long as the member has looked after it, depending upon how much mileage and depending upon what class of car they've had, because some cars hold better prices than others, then that car is sold after the 2 years because the member gets a brand new one. So therefore, when that car is sold, let's just give an example. On the road price was 36,000. We bought it for 27. Let's say we sell it for 24 in 2 years' time, or 22. That car didn't cost us £27,000. It only cost us 4,000 or 5,000 plus the insurance. So when the car is sold, that is literally the profit, but it's also a reserve for the club because we've got to buy new cars, etc., etc. And it just keeps rolling and rolling. But the profit that's where the profit for the company is. But just to say that we're all shareholders within that company, not just me, not just the directors, but every single member is a shareholder because the company becomes very rich, very asset-based, lots of assets, lots of cash, debt-free. It's debt-free at the moment, and it will remain debt-free. There's no ever reason to take any capital because we have the money to create what we need to do. So that's where the profit is, if people want to know where the profit is.
Brilliant, thank you, Andy. Jim, I see your hands raised. I'm gonna unmute you, Jim.
And I'm very open about and transparent about all this, by the way. So.
Okay, so if I unmute you, Jim, I'm having trouble unmuting you. Oh, there you go.
Thank you, John. Hi, Andy. How are you tonight?
I'm very good. I've just drove back from Milton Keynes, so I'm a bit tired. But
Andy, I just had a thought when you were talking. Let's say, for example, that you choose a car, and for argument's sake, let's say it's £500 above the budget. Is there any way we can make that shortfall up? Can we pay an additional 500, or do we have to work within the budget?
You have to work within the budget, and that's the there's a reason for that. I'll give you the reason. Because you don't own the car, so if you're putting extra money in, you're putting in money in to own. As it would be ethically wrong for you to ask you to put extra money in for something that you don't personally own.
Andy, that's perfectly fine. It's just one of these questions that popped up, and I just wanted to have the correct answer if anyone asked me. That's fantastic. That's all I need.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just a legal nightmare You know, if ever there was a, a question mark, oh, well, I owned, you know, I'll put £500 extra towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's just one of those
not
questions
worth it.
I didn't have an answer to, and now I know the answer to it, Andy. Thank you very much. That's me. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, we have Mr. Earl that has got his hand raised. So, Earl, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, this is Earl Dixon from the United States.
Hey, Earl.
Hey, how you doing? And my question is, this is one real informative webinar. Is it going to be recorded where we can get access to it?
Yeah, they are recorded. Earl, just message me in Telegram and we can get that sorted out for you.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. I'm really enjoying this webinar. Thank you, sir.
So, anyone else got any questions? Yes.
Okay, I've just been going through the chat and I've got a couple of questions for Andy.
Okay, take away.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
I'm good. Very good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, great. Thank you. So I want to cover a couple of questions, first of all, from Sean from Ireland. He's a member of the club.
Okay.
The first question is, if you re-enter and take the ambassador advertising bonus, is this classified as an income?
Absolutely. You will have to declare that as income. We don't class it as income. We class it as advertising bonus, but you will have to declare it as an income.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And
that's between you and your accountant, not nothing to do with us. So.
Yes, exactly. So we need to obviously take care of that ourselves and pay our due taxes.
Yes.
The second question is, can you say which insurance company you're using at the moment for Ireland? He's in Southern Ireland.
Well, you know, we use all insurance companies. We're not limited to one at the moment. We can use whatever we feel we get the best. And when we say the best deal, we don't necessarily mean the cheapest deal, because sometimes the cheapest deal is not the best deal. You know, you may have £1,000 what's it called, excess.
Oh, excess.
We want to keep that to a minimum of 200. Simply because if somebody has a spate of attacks on the car, you know what I mean, we're not keep paying out extra 200s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we are in negotiations with some large companies to get a couple of them were involved to get what's called, very few people have got this, by the way, but we're hoping that we'll get there, what's called a world policy, and that means you can just the insurance would change then, but it would be so much cheaper in the long run to be able to do that. But when as we get more and more people, we have more and more clout, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's part of the thing that all these people want to know is numbers. That's all they want to know. So when we said, well, you know, if we tell them we've got 3 cars at the moment, well, you know, there'll be a few more by the end of April on the road.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I've just got another question come in related to that from Theo.
I just want to share something there, if I can.
Yeah, go on.
Because this is interesting. What if we say we got like 5 cars, they're just going to go, you know, that doesn't really talk world insurance fleet, you know. But we said, hold on a minute, what about if we got 2,000 or 3,000 members? Couldn't they use that policy while they're waiting for the car and save their insurance as part of the club benefit? And they like that idea. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, but they're still looking for like 10,000 and stuff like that. But they like that idea. But that's the way we are developing the club. And that's the way we are, because as we get more and more people, we will have more and more power, and then we can go to these insurance companies and say, our members, because we're a car club, so we can definitely target car companies and say, and car insurance and anything to do, and say, we've got like, let's say we've got 10,000 members. We've got 10,000 members, all interested in cars. They all have cars, otherwise they wouldn't be joining the car club. So what can we offer them from you while they wait to qualify for a car? And we're getting like quite a lot of interest from all spheres when we're talking like that, because, and so we're going to be introducing member benefits as we grow.
Wow.
So it'd be worth the money then, you know, the £50 a month. Because that's one of the questions people say, what do I get while I'm waiting for my car? You know,
Yes.
well, you get some shares in the company, you get a back office, you get help, you get assistance, you get, you know, all these things, but you get nothing as in a product, or because we're not hiding behind a product like a lot of MLMs or stuff like that, because we're not an MLM. So therefore, I don't want to hide behind a product. But if we can offer member benefits, then that's just a bonus, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I know as this club grows bigger and bigger, there will be so many more developments and more benefits to the members.
Oh, it'll be worth the money just to join, even if you don't want a car.
Yeah,
In the end,
exactly.
that's the truth. I mean, and that'll happen quite quickly.
I mean, you've had a lot of companies approach you, right, Andy, already with other products, services?
We have, and it's just finding the right ones that fit our, you know, because we can get offered everything, but are we offering a product? I don't want to be product based. I want it to be something that members can choose, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So therefore, if we can offer, like, let's say we can offer 30% off insurance, that would be a member benefit. Let's say we could offer £50 Alfred's voucher as a member for each member. That would be a member benefit. They may never use it, but they could, you know, they might, you know, we ride bikes as well as own cars, you know, and of course Alfred's do all car parts, and a lot of people comment how much it costs to get their car through an MOT and stuff like that, you know. Perhaps we could a deal with for an MOT, you know. There's all these things.
We've had another question from Phil. Phil, you might have to elaborate on the question a little bit, but he says he understands the concept. You have to join and get 3 people. How do you make your money? So
how do you make their money?
Now, I'm assuming he's talking about you as the company. We've covered that.
Well, you don't have a car when you've got 3 people. That's just the minimum requirement, personally, which I feel is fair. So they probably need to see the 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. 3's a crowd. It just keeps building, and once there's 81 crowd, but don't focus on the 81, because that's you'll never get there if you focus on that. It's all about everybody helping each other, and they have to with this system. You have to, if you want a car, you have to help other people. You have to.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what I love about this. Phil, if that didn't answer your question, then maybe you just want to type it in again and clarify.
I've already answered how we make the money.
Yeah, we already answered that, how the company makes the money. So we had a question at the very beginning, Andy. Will vans be available?
We are okay with vans, right? We're okay with any kind of vehicle that has a resale value, right? The only problem that I foresee here is an insurance problem, and that is because most people that would want a van would want it solely for a work purpose, and so therefore, if they are carrying tools, they're doing all this, they're doing all that, it adds up on.
They do tend to get knocked about a little bit.
Yeah, and so. We have no problem, because whatever we sell the van for in 2 years is profit in essence. So therefore, it it's gross profit, not net profit, but and so it's just whether we can sort out the insurance, because
Yeah.
it's like taxi drivers. We've got the same issue with taxi drivers or anything like that. Yeah, most people use their cars for work, but they don't use it as work, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I have a van myself for my day job, but it's a crew van. It's a 6-seater van, so it's an all-encompassing. It does everything for our family, and it's a fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, in Ireland, for instance, the tax on cars is terrible.
Yeah.
And so therefore, they tend to drive these like ones that are more like these 4-seater pickups and stuff like that, because we're fine with that. We would rather do that because it suits the country that they're in, because
So I guess in essence, it's a case of get your funding pool built, and then we can work that out, when that comes up, right?
Absolutely, and they may need to pay extra insurance for that directly. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because I mean, I have to have a commercial insurance because I use it for work. So that's right. We've got another question here. I just want to quickly, Shogun, I see your hand up. We'll come to you in just a sec, buddy. We've had a question from Paula Middleton. A guest has asked her directly, are there terms and conditions to keeping the car in good working order during the 2 years?
Obviously, there'll have to be some kind of car care policy, which has been written. But they are not like what you would find on a lease, or they're not restrictive. We don't restrict the miles. We do give an average that we would like people to stick to, but there's no penalty in the terms and conditions for going over. We just want the car kept in a good condition, obviously, and you should as well, because you're part owner. And of course, if we find cars coming back in a really bad state, do we want them to? Do we consider them to be good members? Of the club. So obviously, we do accept there's going to be a few scratches, but we don't go around with a photo putting extra charges on and stuff like that, like a lease company or rental company would.
I think it's imperative that we all realise that we're doing. It's in all our interests to take as good a care of the cars as we possibly can, because it's in the club's interest, and obviously the club staying going and maintaining itself is in all of our interests. So it's just basically take good care of the car, and then in 2 years' time,
keep it clean. Make sure it goes in for a service at the right time. There's all these like little things that just have to be put into a legal agreement.
What's one question earlier? The excess payments. Who pays for that? If for example,
well, we do. We pay for the excess. That's why we don't want excess. Because I know what'll happen. What'll happen is if we get a quote for insurance, right? We will go and we'll get a quote, and we would rather choose a 5-star company, a good company that is known to pay out quickly, etc. There's no, that they're a good company like, I could name them, but I don't want to be promoting. You can see who the good companies are by the ratings. I think it's called de facto ratings or something. And so we know that one of the arguments will be from members is, oh, I've been on Money Supermarket and I can get it for. Well, yeah, but what did you read the terms and conditions? What that was, did you did you check that car is covered completely for everything? Because we have to. Because if you go and smash the car up, or somebody smashes into you, it's our duty to replace that car. So therefore, we want to make sure it's got the right insurance that we can replace that car to any member. That's if it's written off, of course. So the excess we want low, But if you can find it and it saves us money, hey, all great. You know, we're not there to spend excess money. You know, we're trying to save money on every step of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we've got a few guys watching in from Canada who are eager to know if there's any idea as to when Canada will be opening.
Okay, from a legality standpoint, we've been given the thumbs up. We, from a compliance standpoint in Canada, but again, we're a new company. We've only been going since the 20th of August, so we're only 7 months old. A few days ago, that's 7 calendar months, of course, and so we just have to be careful that we don't run too fast before we're even walking, and so it's just a matter of strategic. But we obviously do want to open up as fast as we can, so we get the market lead for any copycats.
Absolutely. Okay, so Canada will be very soon. Touch wood, it'll be very soon. So,
well, it's very close to North America.
Yeah,
we're dealing with some restructuring of things to make sure that we tidy a few elements up, and we're hopeful to get we're hopeful not within a couple of weeks or anything, but within perhaps 3 months to get this regulated so that we're fully by the FCA
compliant. Yeah. Okay, right. I'm going to unmute Shogun. So you've got your hand up, buddy. I'm going to unmute you now. Feel free to ask your question.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. I got to tell you, this concept is amazing.
Thank you.
Sure is.
Okay. So the question I have, let's say I come in and I have 5 people. I did my 3 and I have 2 others, which makes me 5 people that are under me. And let's say something happens that I can't pay for the next 2 months. Let's say, the money's not right, I lost my job. Do I have to repay this, according to me, it's $330 to come back in and then start over?
No, you just have to catch up. That's all. Remember that when you joined and you had an annual fee. So therefore, you are a member for 1 year. You are a member, but your £50 a month or $75 is the crowdfunding part towards the cars, and it's more like a donation based or subscription, whatever you want to call it. It's more like a crowdfunding concept. Well, not more. It is a crowdfunding concept, and therefore we do obviously people do miss, but we don't have these defaults like MLM companies where you've got to start again. All your points or whatever have been wiped out, and you got to start again. We're not that kind of. We're not an MLM, so we don't need to do all that.
Excellent. So one more question. So the concept is I pay this every 5 months, and until I get my 81st person, then you guys call me and I can select a car.
Correct. We have to check that you've got the correct amount of people in each individual, because you've got 3 pools, and so therefore we have to check you've got the right referrals, and your referrals are pretty solid, not just signed up and they don't know what they've signed up for. So there's a few checks and balances, like the 2020 for the $24,000 qualification, and for a $36,000, then for 30 spread out. And that's simply a mathematic, because we buy in cars. We have to create the money to buy the cars. Simple as that.
So when you say qualified, they have to be in the system for a couple of months to be eligible to be qualified as a legitimate partner.
Okay. You have to be in it 3 calendar months. And you have to have 3 personally sponsored referrals, club members, 1 in each pool. That needs to be maintained because you have to put some effort in, and there's a reason for that. There's also a regulatory reason for it, and you help them get their 3, etc. If you've got extra, you place them below, and so therefore you're helping other people. Everybody is doing that. People above you, people below you. It just keeps rolling and should grow and is growing organically for people that are putting effort in. And so you just keep doing that. Obviously, you've got to have 81 members that are active members. That means they are active, not that they've dropped out or anything like that.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for the information. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Brilliant, Andy. I'm going to ask 2 questions in one here. Will Privileged Car Club ever have motorcycles and motorhomes available?
When I say motorhomes, you mean RVs?
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, in America, we probably will allow, and if we do it there, we'll probably have to do it here anyway. We'll allow motorbikes anyway. And RVs, but RVs are super expensive. You better get some re-entries.
Yeah, that will take a few re-entries to build up.
Yeah. You're talking serious money for a nice RV.
I saw a very nice RV online a few months back. It was around the $85,000 mark. So,
yeah,
doable, guys, doable. But obviously, you've got to realise that will take a few re-entries to achieve. Obviously, motorbikes, one pool of 81, and you can get yourself a pretty insane motorbike. So, excited for that one. Right, have we seen any more questions in here, Morel? We've been going for just over an hour. Thanks, guys, for hanging in here. I hope this has been informative for you all. I'm just going to mute a few people out in a sec. Right, guys, if anyone has got any questions, feel free to raise your hand or just unmute and ask, or obviously type them in the chat. Can you see any new ones? You've got Elaine who's just raised her hand, so I'm going to unmute you, Elaine. Where are you calling in from, Elaine?
Hi, I'm from Birmingham, and I'm just asking the question on behalf of Phil, who's my guest tonight, and he's asked in the chat. I know how the company make their money, but is this just to own a car for myself, or is it a money-making opportunity for myself?
Okay, it is not. It's not to be promoted as a business in the same way as an MLM would be, because you have to get a car first. You have to qualify for a car. You can't earn any money from that position. But on the re-entry, you re-enter in your weakest part of your pool, and in your weakest pool, we do that for you. And you can then rebuild just the way you did at the beginning, but now you're driving a Privileged Car Club car. So if you built to 81 without a car, how quick do you think you could build 81 with a car that you're driving, that people can see? So you're our best advert then when you're driving a car. You're our absolute best advert. You should be putting on meetings, you should be putting on webinars, showing people it works and building. So we are allowed then to pay you a advertising bonus because you're putting effort in. You're advertising the club. That's why you're called an ambassador of the club at that point. You are no longer just recruiting because you've already got your car, and so therefore you are helping others to get what you already have, and so therefore we can pay you, and there are payment levels within the presentation called advertising bonuses, and there'll be a few little requirements for that from a legality standpoint, that you're putting effort in and everything. and it's not just money for nothing kind of thing, because that's what regulators do not like. And so it's so yes, you can build it. You can build quite a substantial income from the advertising bonuses, and that's monthly. And so therefore, you just need to study the presentation again, and you'll see it very clearly there that every re-entry, you either have a choice to upgrade your car by £20,000 when it is up for renewal in 2 years' time, or receive an advertising bonus of £1,000 per month at that time.
Yeah, Elaine, if you want to private message me, I can get you the replay. We went over all this in the actual presentation. So if you want to just get in touch with me or Morel, we'll have the replay of the whole presentation available once we've finished, okay?
That's great. Thank you.
No problem. So, Linda, I'm going to unmute you now, Linda. I know you've got your hand raised. I know you've got a couple of questions. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, super.
Yes.
Great. Pleasure to speak to you, Andy, and thank you for being here after all you've done all day and all days. So my question is, I've heard a couple of different things being on some webinars that were not corporate, and so just want to have this cleared up. We in the United States, do we need to, when we're ready and we've qualified for our car, do we need to find like a manufacturer or a port of entry to pick the car from, or is that something that PCC does?
You mean, what do you mean by a port of entry? Sorry.
If it's a foreign car and it's coming into the country having been built.
Oh no, we just get the cars in America.
Okay, so after they're already here, if they've been imported.
No. I mean, that we're not having imported cars. If you're in America, you'll get cars in America. If you're in Ireland, you'll get cars from Ireland. If you're in UK, you'll get cars from here. So there's no import or anything.
Okay, because the one that I'm interested in is a Subaru, and I don't know if they actually manufacture those here or if they come in from.
Well, something like that may come in, but there will be somebody already there that deals with that.
Yeah, there will be Subaru dealerships. I know what you need to do, Linda, is talk to Diana, because Diana is a big Subaru fan. She drives a Subaru, so I'm sure she can help you understand that. But yeah, they'll be in country for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to find it in America.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, because so.
Okay.
Hello?
John?
I think you went off. So.
Okay, so I think we have covered all of the questions. I can't see any more in the chat. So just want to thank you very much, Andy, for taking time out of your evening to join us. I think it's been a fantastic webinar. We've covered a lot of questions. So
yeah, thanks, Andy.
Are you back, John?
I am. Sorry, I hit the mute button. Sorry.
That's okay. We're not offended.
Yeah, guys, if we have missed any questions of what I was saying while I was muted, because the chat has got pretty active. If we missed any, we apologise, but also feel free to get back to whoever's invited you onto this webinar. You can always get questions answered. You'll see Andy, he's a very straight up, very upfront chap, and great to have you on, Andy. Thank you very much once again for jumping on. I don't want to take up all of your evening because I know you've been all over the place this week. So with that being said, guys, we're going to share the final video. And once again, from myself and Morel, so thank you ever so much for jumping onto tonight's Zoom show.live. We'll be back again on Sunday evening at 9 PM UK time.
Okay. Right. Good night.
Everybody, good night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you, Madam. Good night, all.
This is Privilege Car Club. A revolutionary new concept that allows you to drive any new car of your choice for £50 per month. To find out more, just contact the person who shared this video with you. Privilege Car Club. Join the revolution.